Hello and welcome and Happy New Year and all those good things. I am back to doing my weekly card readings after a bit of a sabbatical. And boy, is this a week to come back in on. We start the week with Mercury, who's still in shadow from his last retrograde process. And within that retrograde went from Capricorn back into Sagittarius. He's now direct, and we start with Monday as he steps back into Capricorn. Now, by the end of the week, or by Monday, next Monday, he is now out of shadow. So this is the last week that we are working with the current Mercury retrograde. We're in that shadow, post-shadow, and in that space, what's really great is that the solutions of whatever was becoming problematic are beginning to present and come through to us. Now, Capricorn is such a powerful sort of business-minded leader type of energy, practical, grounded. How do we build? How do we structure? How do we create? And that's coming up very strongly in this reading. This is also the last week that Pluto is in Capricorn as well, and the Sun. So the Sun is in Capricorn until Monday or Sunday or Monday. He steps into Aquarius. And the next day, I think the Sun steps into Aquarius on Sunday, and on Monday next week, Pluto goes into Aquarius as well, and Mercury comes out of shadow. So we're dealing with a lot of Capricorn energy this week. Late Capricorn, people with late Capricorn, is going to really be impactful for you, and feeling that Aquarian shift. So I'm bringing in some love with my crystal hearts in my little decorative heart box. And the oils I'm looking at are Terra Shield, which for me is very Capricorny, and Citrus Twist, which is also quite it's a good one for mobilizing your mind and your muscles to move forward with the stuff that is on the go, and it's kind of heavy lifting stuff, so we need to be prepared. Now, let's jump in. Remember to pick a card between 1 and 4. This is a collective reading, but the card that you pick will give you a little extra boost of where your focus is for this. And this is covering this last week of Pluto in Capricorn. So, and all the other things I mentioned. Here's the reading. Ta-da! Now, we have got the Chariot card, which is Major Arcana, as the starting card. And this was the themed card for last year. 2023 reduces to 7. And so the Chariot card was really strong for us the whole of last year. And if I remember correctly, which may not be so because it is a long while back, I drew this for our first reading, not only our first reading, but our first reading of last year's card readings. And I just feel like it's a really good, not necessarily close off to 2023, but reminder that even though we've left the 7 behind, the Chariot behind, as a stepping stone of an archetypal journey, we're still there as well. We're still working on that as well. The new card is the 8, because every year obviously goes up a number. The new card is the 8, the Strength card. And there's never any accident in the tarot of what card comes before or after what. So usually the Chariot card talks to us about quick change, fast shifts. And sometimes these are not easy. You can link this Chariot card to the Tower card, and that's where, there's that lightning bolt hitting the tower's burning down, and the choice is jump and hope that you're okay, and then start over. That forces a quick change, because if the building burns down, you can't procrastinate about where am I going to stay renting this place, or, what am I going to do next week? I'll think about it. I'll take my time. No, the building burned down. You are literally destitute. So that's a quick change. And the Chariot is a little bit, it's earlier in that journey than the Tower. So it's an easier card. And it's usually more of an exciting feeling of quick change. But if we don't harness the quick change when it's coming, then we eventually find ourselves at the Tower where the change is being thrust upon us. And it can be a little thrust upon us here as well. But the point is, after a big quick change, we need to find our strength, the Strength card, the following card, the one for this year, and our courage and our fortitude, which is a word that could be linked to Capricorn. And we need to step in. Now, the Strength card is actually a card that links to Leo. And Leo, I'm sorry if this is a little bit complicated, but Leo is the opposite sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is about to get supercharged. So that Strength card is really a balancing point of offering us also the polarity to the speed and intensity and expansiveness of Aquarius. So even though we see the Chariot card here, I feel very inclined to link in the Tower and very inclined to link in the Strength card. And then we have two Pentacles card. One is the halfway point, the 5, and one is the end of the journey, which actually in this trajectory is kind of like coming before. And then the 8 of Cups, which is actually very pertinent to me personally this month. It was the card I drew for myself as a January card. So that's another thing you can do if you have your own deck. You can do a 12-card reading and you can work with one per month as your overriding archetype, a little like the Strength card is the overriding archetype for us collectively this 2024. So the Pentacles suit is also like, I feel like this is a very Capricorn, Cancer, and where just as I spoke about Aquarius and Leo being opposites, Capricorn and Cancer are opposites. So they're kind of two sides of the same coin, signs that are opposite each other. And they always need the counterpoint, because when we get very, very stuck in excessively Capricornian spaces, we may forget our emotions. We may be so practical and focused and determined and doing the work that we forget to tap into emotional needs. That's more Cancer, or nourishing our body with food, or checking that the dynamic of the people that are involved are all kind of being tended to. And so then we need something to counterbalance us. And this is the only upside down card in the reading. So that is giving me an indication that the Cancerian aspect within us may be a little bit neglected right now and could do with a bit of focus and attention. So if you're very much more Capricorn heavy or Earth heavy in your own personal chart, it might be easier for you to default into the Earth, but it may draw more attention to the lack of water or Cancer energy. And that may work the other way around. If we're in this heavy Capricorn lifting stage, and you're heavy in your water or your Cancer, you might find that this is really, really uncomfortable for you. And you might even be swinging excessively into the water in yourself and unable to harness the Capricorn energies. So it's interesting. I didn't know this is where I was going to go with this reading, where I was going to speak so big collective archetypal. It feels a little bit like another layer of teaching you to tap into your chart and your inner parts. Am I more earth? Am I more water? What's kicking off right now for me? What's stepping in and feeling bold? And what part of me is struggling? It feels like that's the way this reading is panning out. So, and just remember, I channel when I do readings. So, I mean, my intellect and my learned self has plenty of ideas. But then if I don't restrict the flow of information, then it just channels through me. So I don't know what I'm going to say a lot of the time before I say it. And as we come back to the 10, this is showing us the end of a journey. And this is like, absolutely, I have materialized my thing. It's also a sort of a legacy card, which is another great keyword for Capricorn. Capricorn is all about creating a legacy. And this one is saying, I've done it. I've created the legacy that I wanted. Now, Pluto has spent the last 15 years in Capricorn. And as he's culminating his Capricorn time, because he's stepping into Aquarius for most of this year. Last year, he dipped his toe in Aquarius for a couple of months. This year, he will dip his toe back in Capricorn for a couple of months. And then that is really it. So his time of being Capricorn heavy is now done. By next week, he's primarily an Aquarius guy for the next 20 years. And he won't be back in Capricorn for about 250 years. So this is a very big deal. And so Capricorn is a sign that talks about the legacy we leave behind, the land we've built, the political structures we've built, we live around, etc. Whereas Aquarius is much less about top-down power than Capricorn, and more about power with the people. So that's going to bring in some quick changes, and we've had a few hints. Aquarius is also more about AI, more about space, more about potential otherworldly visitors, etc. So it's a very different feeling energy, and it will take us right out of our comfort zone in the sense of that's the space where transformation is going to be happening, where we have been transforming boots on the ground, business, organizational structures, top-down power. Pluto is power. Who has the power? And we have had if you have money, you have power. And if you are the elite at the top, you control the narrative. That has been an extreme awareness for us in the last 15 years. And where that is unhealthy and where that needs to change. Now we're at that real point where it's like, okay, we are no longer doing things that way. It is no longer okay for certain people to become power hungry and rule the world and control the narrative and control the people with the wrong things. But there are also beautiful things that we have created in our world in the last, let's even call it 250 degrees years, a Pluto cycle. And so there is that beautiful culmination. Now, the Cancer energy I'm feeling here, or the water energy, doesn't have to be Cancer, where we're having a little bit of resistance, is the Eight of Cups. And how do I just walk away from everything I've known? So a really good example of that is if in your country you don't agree with the politics, and please, again, I'm just channeling this because I'm not a very politically minded person at all. But if you don't agree with the politics, if you don't agree with the way things are being run, and yet that's all you've ever known. So you're saying things have got to change, but you think, well, what does that even look like? How is that even possible? There is a resistance and an emotional angst, potentially fear. Maybe I'm backing the wrong horse, that kind of thing. Like I've made a decision, I've walked away from something, I've decided I'm no longer going to, I don't want to get into too many controversial topics, but let's say, no, I'm not going there. That's too complicated and controversial, and I don't want to cause drama, but yeah, okay, let's go schooling. Let's say you've decided I no longer want to have my kids in mainstream schooling, and I've walked away from that, and then it's a terrifying thing, and you're like, well, maybe I've made the wrong decision. Now, there can be a million different ways that plays out in your life, and whatever way that is absolutely fine, but there may be that point at which you think, I've made the wrong decision. I should go back to the thing I know because that is what is safe. And that's true. It is what is safe. But there's a reason you originally made a choice to change something, because it wasn't working. And then the Five of Pentacles is the halfway to 10. Fives are always a bit tricky because they're halfway to 10. So it's like the midpoint of any journey where there's no turning back, which is exactly what she's kind of wishing she could have done. Maybe if I just turn back, nobody will notice that all those angry things I said when I walked away from something I no longer believed in. But there is no turning back. When you're at the 5 point, even though you might feel a little bit despondent or uncertain, or like there is no solution, there's no end in sight, I'm stuck in with the Five of Pentacles, can be stuck in a poverty consciousness, lack mindset. How am I ever going to get this to work out? Panic, fear, angst. But remember, we've done it before. The 10 is here to show us that we have materialized our dreams before. We have built the life we want before. And now where we're reshuffling, we're saying, okay, well, this I no longer want and I need to do something else. There's always going to be this kind of energy. There's always going to be the overwhelm and emotional fears and panics that we may have made the wrong decision. And there's always going to be the stalling point within the practicalities of it, of I'm not getting that new job, or I'm not making enough to put food on the table. How do I do this? I love always, because this is a card that comes up for me more than I like. And I always love in this deck how there is that key. And she's just in a bit of a pity party moment. And that's also okay. Sometimes take the moment, have the pity party, go into the woe is me, but then change your perspective. One of the tools I love for perspective change is yoga. It literally puts you in all different positions, from twists to forward folds to upside down positions, inversions, etc., that make you literally in the room that you're even doing yoga in, or your perspective of your body in that moment, in that pose, get a new perspective. So it's very, and Pentacles is a practical earth connected card. So using your body, like in yoga practice, there's many other ways. This is just one tool, but using in yoga practice to get that new perspective within your body, within the view of the room that you're in at the time that you're doing the yoga, literally can be the shift from the sort of stagnancy and apathy to see a new perspective and realize I do have the key to this next door. And it may not be the door to this point, but it is the next door to getting to that point. And we very rarely get to a 10 of Pentacles type of space, and that's that, Then maybe we have a tower moment and everything we built burns down and we have to rebuild. So we're not supposed to have a happily ever after. It's not like we achieve a point of success and then we stop living and we stay in that photograph, the snapshot of perfection. It's like watching on Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media you watch. It's like watching people's highlight reels. They share the wedding, but they don't share the marriage. They share the birth of the child, but they don't share the cracked nipples and colic. Nothing is going to stay in this perfect bubble. And that can be hard. That can be hard to metabolize. And here we have earth and water, which is saying the reality and structure of it, how it feels. These are not things I expected. I was excited to take that next speedy trajectory. I was excited to be on this part of the journey. I'd accepted that I was moving forward into something exciting and positive and new, and I was making my dreams come true, and it was also exciting, and also it wasn't so exciting. It was hard. It was emotionally wrenching. It was I was hungry at times, not hungry for striving and for my dreams coming true anymore, but hungry because I didn't have money to put food in my belly. It can be that. And both of those energies are true. This sort of fast and positive and more excitable than fearful, and then the more fearful and overwhelming than excitable. Both of those things are true. Always, really. We can always find the space to be stuck in the fear story. Of course, try not to get stuck in those spaces, but also don't completely avoid them. You don't want toxic positivity where everything is just sunshine and unicorns all the time, and you're not actually looking at the real fears, the real anxieties, because it is important to move through those things. Don't get stuck in them, but don't deny them. And that is the way through. We need to experience all of the emotions, all of the thoughts, all of the stuff, the feels, we need to feel to heal, basically. And we're never fully enlightened and fully healed to the point that it stops and everything is perfect and we feel like we won. Life is a very complex journey and we are very complex, nuanced beings. So I hope this has been helpful. I look forward to journeying. Oh, it's a long one. Sorry. I look forward to journeying through this year with you with some guidance. I am available for personal readings and insights versus via cards or astrology readings or healing channeled sessions. So check out my links below. Thank you for your time.